Yes, good evening, everybody. Well, the party is over, Keir Starmer.
The party's over, Prime Minister. The only question is, will the British public kick him out, will his party kick him out, or will he do the decent thing and resign?
And I think we need a general election now.
We need a general election now.
Yes, that, my friends, is the story of this government, summarised in their own words. Keir Starmer will never be remembered for his achievements because, frankly, there aren't many. But he will be remembered for being a prophet of his own downfall. And that downfall seems likely to be merely months away because there is now a traitor's plot, a coup, taking place in Downing Street. Comes, of course, after Number 10 had been completely exposed by the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, for briefing the press against him. And at the heart of those allegations is none other than Morgan McSweeney, the man who also allegedly sacked Sue Gray, if you remember her, and then took up the role as Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister.
I say to you directly, my government will serve you. Politics can be a force for good. We will show that. We've changed the Labour Party, returned it to service, and that is how we will govern. Country first, party second.
Yeah, that didn't last long, did it? The only thing this government seems to be serving, though, is itself and the Labour Party circus surrounding it. 5 ministerial sackings and a litany of government advisers also sacked over their conduct or booted out the door before they were pushed. And they've only been in office for 16 months. But don't worry, everyone, because there's someone coming to save us all. The incorruptible beam of morality, Angela Rayner. Yes, she's back. She's had a few bottles of Prosecco on the beach at Brighton, had a few puffs of her old vape, had taxpayer-funded security help move her and her boyfriend out of the last boxes of that old Grayson Favour flat. And amongst all of that hard work she's been doing, she's also been plotting a coup. Just a few weeks ago, she was giving her resignation speech to Parliament, met with almost a full chamber of Labour front and back benches, all paying homage to her. Their only hope now, clearly, is a disgraced former Deputy Prime Minister who achieved absolutely nothing while she had her hands on the reins of power. That's, of course, other than closing a new deal on her VAT-busting second home. Well, according to reports today, she's already dishing out cabinet positions to her mates in the Labour Party, some suggesting she's plotting a new northern powerhouse, sort of getting together, I guess, with Andy Burnham. You can't make it up, can you? She's already preparing to govern the country. It's almost like...
There's one rule for them and one rule for all of us.
This whole rotten government, this rotten Labour Party is teetering on the brink. Rachel Reeves, the so-called self-dubbed Iron Chancellor, caught red-handed breaking the law on her housing arrangements, bungling the economy while she's at it. Louise Haigh, the Transport Secretary, booted out for fraud. The Housing Minister and Deputy Prime Minister resigning in disgrace over breaking the law on her second home purchase. And then we've got an anti-corruption minister booted out over corruption claims. Then we've got the homelessness minister sacked for making people homeless. And of course, to top it all off, we've got a deputy prime minister who was once the top diplomat in this country as foreign secretary, allegedly leaving a cab in France looking like that picture you can see on your screens right there. Disgraceful, isn't it? It really is just disgraceful. This isn't governance, is it? It's a conveyor belt of sleaze, with Starmer's so-called mission-led government lurching from one scandal to the next, and the litany of hypocrisy and corruption piling up like those uncollected bins in Birmingham. And let's be honest, they lied to you, didn't they? They lied to me, they lied to you, they lied to all of us. They said it would be country first and party second. But all they've proven to us is that they are, somehow better than the Tories, but they can produce exactly the same morally bankrupt politics of the previous government in record-breaking time. That's the only thing they've been better at. Starmer shouldn't just resign. The whole lot of them should be booted out of office. I say this. Call a general election now and give the public what they really want, a change of government. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Labour councillor Sebastian Salek, senior reporter at Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Sebastian, I should start with you as a Labour man on the panel. It's 16 months Labour's been in office. We didn't get to this kind of chaos until 14 years into a Tory government. There is no way, surely, Keir Starmer can continue on as Prime Minister for much longer.
There absolutely is. He was elected with a 5-year mandate, and he'll see the 5-year mandate out. And this is a big project. You know, you can stop the clock at, 15 months in and say, what have we achieved? But it's like building a house. You're only going to have the foundations at that point, and you're not going to get the roof for a long time after. So we have to be patient. I know it's hard. I know people are hurting. But that's what it's going to take after 14 years of wasted time from the Tories.
I have to say, it is really unprecedented to have these plots and briefings and coups against a man who won such a landslide victory just 16 months ago. It shows that Starmer has lost control of number 10, and it also just shows that he probably cannot last long more. I think he will not lead Labour into the next general election. Rayner, by the way, is really liked by the Labour Parliamentary Party. She's joined this group called Tribune, which is the left of the party, about 70 MPs. So you've got her. You've also got, obviously, Wes Streeting. The number 10 allegedly briefed against Wes Streeting to try and kill that. It was a huge backlash over that. We've also got, by the way, Shabana Mahmood, who is now positioning herself as on the right of the party to take on reform with these immigration announcements she's just announced today. She actually posted a video on her X feed of all the headlines going, Shabana saved Starmer once, can she do it again? The rising star of the Labour Party. The fact that all of these coups, these plots, these briefings are swirling around Starmer shows he's lost control. He is untrustworthy, by the way. He is the most unpopular Prime Minister in history. His Chancellor is the most unpopular Chancellor in history. Those two are tied together. This budget will not go down well. We've had the most chaotic few weeks leading up to a budget pretty much in history. And we know there's going to be a litany of tax rises which will tank the economy and also probably inevitably raise far less money than the Treasury hopes.
Well, this is it, right? This is it. I mean, what can they do, Adam? I mean, they've got the Downing Street briefing against one of its Secretaries of State, Wes Streeting, who was actually, one of Keir Starmer's more vocal supporters, should we say. I'm not saying he was not briefing against the Prime Minister here, there and everywhere, and he could, but at least in public he was supportive of Keir Starmer. And now we've got Angela Rayner, who's just literally been sacked not that long ago, now plotting a coup, from what we can understand.
Look, the public has lost all trust in the Labour government and the Labour Party. We've had scandals, lies, U-turns. We've got economic woes. We've had riots on the streets. Labour are finished. And it doesn't matter what they do, who they put as their leader, they cannot recover, because the Greens are taking some of their polling as well. Your party, the extreme left, will take some. For me, it's impossible for Labour.
Okay, let me ask you this, Adam.
Okay.
Really interesting question. I'm sure our audience would love to know this. If you had to pick one of them, you ain't got a choice, you've got to pick one. Who would you pick out of that Labour bunch?
Right, so I've got them all written down here. So you've got Wes Streeting, Ed Miliband, maybe Angela Rayner, Andy Burnham, Shamina Mahmood. I would say Wes Streeting, for me, would do the less damage in the next 3 years out of all of those.
Interesting.
But he would never win an election.
The best of a bad bunch.
He has positioned himself as more on the right of the party, but actually, if you look at what he's proposed in the past, and there's a long list actually on Guido to read, but he's actually pretty much Raynerite in his tax policies. He wants to raise capital gains tax in line with income tax, a whole lot of wants to scrap a lot of business relief rates, and actually he's not as right wing as people think he is.
Right.
So he's someone to actually be quite quite wary.
He doesn't believe a woman can have a penis, I believe. He might have changed his mind a few times.
I have to say, though, the woke thing is actually the least of our concerns at the moment. It really is. I care far more about the economy and migration, and I think actually streeting is not as sound as
the most important point I'm going to make here, I think, in this segment, is that Reform are not ready to fight a general election. If you asked Nigel Farage when he would want an election, I would say he would say early to mid 2027, because what would happen now if a general election was called? They'd be throwing councillors up as MPs. They need another sort of year, 18 months to get the right candidates in the right seats. We do not want a general election now because that would give Labour a chance.
But this is what Rishi Sunak did. He saw what was coming, and I think he got ahead of the game and called an early general election to fight off Reform, to fight off all the other bad policies that were about to get exposed. I believe the Afghan crisis as well, and all that stuff that was coming down the pipeline. But Sebastian, I want to ask you the same question. Who do you? I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to just to save you from not saying you just support the Prime Minister. I'm just saying, hypothetically, let's imagine that the Prime Minister's gone. Who out of the Labour top tier do you prefer as leader?
I'm not playing Desert Island MPs, Alex.
Fun with it.
They're a good bunch. Look, I think there are many people there who, when their time comes, will be brilliant Prime Ministers.
Which one would be the best one?
I'm not saying anything.
Sebastian should be a Labour MP. He cannot answer a question. A Labour MP cannot answer a question, neither can you.
Big talk, Adam.
Have you thought of putting yourself in the cabinet and sometimes standing for election?
No way, not a lifestyle I want.
No.
I like coming on the telly and talking rubbish.
He wants to get away with his licence in a second.
A lot of Labour MPs come in here and talk rubbish, but you can still do that.
But I know, seriously, because I mean, there will be so many British people who are thinking, for goodness sake, right? We saw the end of that Tory government and we were all grateful it was over. I think we all saw the writing on the wall. I think they saw the writing on the wall finally towards the end. And we thought, and I actually thought when Labour got into power, this is going to be so boring because they're going to be really organised. They've had 14 years to get their act together. But what an absolute disaster 16 months have been for Keir Starmer. He's relaunched the government. We do. I think he's on like 23 resets since becoming Labour leader.
It's the hypocrisy for me. They spent all those years attacking the Tories for things, and they've done the same things but worse in the last 18 months. It's the lying to the British public and the contempt that they're treating us with.
Do you think it's
I think they're hated.
Do you think it's that moral sort of high ground before the election, calling for Boris Johnson to resign over certain things, calling for everyone and their dog to resign, that's got them into the real trouble? Do you think the public would have more grace for them had they not been such an attack dog before the election?
Yeah, and I'm hearing, look, it might be wrong, but I'm hearing Keir Starmer hasn't even spoke to some of the Labour MPs that have come in since the last election. Now, that's the Prime Minister. Apparently, this is from a source that he's very unapproachable. You can't speak to him. He's like a robot. I wouldn't want someone like that as my Prime Minister. If I'm an MP, I want to be able to come to you and say, Prime Minister, we've got a problem in my constituency.
There's anger in the party, I mean, obviously on the left, but also on the right, because he's he's a bit in the middle. He doesn't really appeal to the right or the left. He tries to appease both, and as a result, you end up pleasing no one. And the thing is, the voters have made up their mind about Starmer. His reputation is, I think, irrecoverable. And I think the next leader and the May local election is going to be a really tough time, and I think that could be when the coup actually comes into force, and then either Streeting or Mahmood or even Miliband, even he's actually, his name has been floating around, get their 80 MPs to support them. But it has to be a cabinet minister. It can't be someone like Andy Burnham, who's not an MP. He's, I think, out of the picture.
Yes, agreed. But he'll throw his support behind somebody.
Probably Rayner.
And I'll give you yes, I think you're probably right. I'll give you the final word on this, Sebastian, just for a bit of balance. Do you think the Prime Minister is just, unable to appeal to any side, the right and the left? Do you think he's just stuck in this sort of intelligentsia part of the public that might get him, the lawyers and such?
Well, there are a lot of coalitions you have to manage, don't you? Labour, having the majority it has, is losing votes to the left and to the right, and you have to bear that in mind. And I think that's...
Is that because of Keir Starmer, though? Is that because of his...
I think that's just the nature of being in the centre of politics. There are people who are going to come at you from every side, and we have to remember those who are going to the Greens, those who are going to the Lib Dems, and make sure we are speaking to them as well. OK, well, there you have it, everybody. We'll stay tuned. I don't think he's got long left. I think Ellie's right. I think the local elections next year will be when he goes, but I think between now and then, I think there's going to be a lot of plotting in and outside of Downing Street.